I was driving home from a late-night party, feeling a little tipsy, but confident that I could make it back safely. The road was dark and deserted, and I was the only car on the highway. I turned up the radio to keep myself awake and alert, but the music only seemed to make me more drowsy. Suddenly, I saw a figure standing in the middle of the road. I slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. I hit the figure with a sickening thud, and my car spun out of control. When I finally came to a stop, I was in a ditch on the side of the road. I got out of the car and looked around, but there was no sign of the figure I had hit. I tried to call for help, but my phone had no signal. I was stranded in the middle of nowhere, with no way to get home. As I walked down the road, I saw a light in the distance. I ran towards it, hoping to find someone who could help me. But as I got closer, I realized that the light was coming from an old, abandoned house. I hesitated for a moment, but then I decided to go inside. Maybe there was a phone or some other way to call for help. As I stepped inside, I felt a chill run down my spine. The air was cold and musty, and the floorboards creaked beneath my feet. I called out, but there was no answer. I walked through the darkened rooms, searching for a phone or a way out. But the more I explored, the more I realized that something was wrong. The house was filled with strange symbols and markings, and there was a foul smell in the air. Suddenly, I heard a noise behind me. I turned around, but there was no one there. I started to run, but the door was locked. I was trapped. As I looked around, I saw something moving in the shadows. It was a figure, but it wasn't human. Its eyes glowed red in the darkness, and its skin was covered in scales. It was a monster, and it was coming for me. I screamed and tried to run, but the monster was too fast. It grabbed me by the throat and lifted me off the ground. I struggled and fought, but it was no use. The monster was too strong. As I gasped for air, I saw a flash of light in the distance. It was a car coming down the road. The monster turned to look, and I took my chance. I kicked it as hard as I could, and it dropped me to the ground. I ran towards the car, screaming for help. The driver stopped and got out, and I collapsed into his arms. He called the police, and they came and took me to the hospital. When I woke up, I was safe and sound in a hospital bed. The police told me that they had searched the abandoned house, but they hadn't found anything. No monster, no symbols, nothing. But I knew what I had seen. I knew that the monster was real, and that it was still out there, waiting for its next victim. The night was dark and unforgiving as I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white against the inky blackness outside. Rain pounded against the windshield, making it difficult to see the road ahead. I was driving back from a late-night party, and I was tired and ready to be home. But as I drove down the deserted highway, I realized that something was wrong. The road seemed to stretch on forever, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was going in circles. The rain was coming down harder now, and the wind was howling like a pack of wolves. I tried to turn on the radio for some company, but all I got was static. Suddenly, I saw something in the distance. It was a figure, standing in the middle of the road. I slammed on the brakes, but it was too late. I hit the figure with a sickening thud, and my car spun out of control. When I came to, I was lying on the side of the road, my head throbbing with pain. I looked around, but I couldn't see anything in the darkness. I tried to stand up, but my legs wouldn't cooperate. I was trapped, alone in the middle of nowhere. That's when I heard it, a low, guttural growl coming from the darkness. I tried to crawl away, but it was too late. Something grabbed me from behind, and I felt sharp teeth sink into my flesh. I screamed, but no one came. I was alone, at the mercy of whatever was out there in the darkness. I could feel my life slipping away as the creature dragged me deeper into the night. As I lay there, dying, I realized what had happened. I had hit a werewolf, and now I was paying the price. I had always thought that werewolves were just a myth, but now I knew the truth. They were real, and they were out there, waiting for their next victim. And as I took my last breath, I knew that I would never be the same again. I was one of them now, a creature of the night, doomed to roam the highways forever.